Hello and welcome to the walkthrough of SPAD.next, what's new in Alpha 3. Don't get confused, the version number is 0.1.2. First of all, to get rid of all this hassle when updating SPAD.next, it comes now with an installer. So with every future version you just have to run the new installer and it will update your version and not overwrite any of your changes. If you deinstall SPAD.next, it will leave all the files you created or that have been created after installing the software on your hard disk. So even if you uninstall it, you won't use your profiles. So let's get started. As with every software, you have to agree to the license agreement. Nothing big in there. Just that I'm not responsible for any harms done to your hardware or anything else. Then you can select where to install SPAD.next. By default, it installs into the program files SPAD.next. Here we go, that's it. Let's start with the changes. First of all, when you start it, you will see the old known, well-known dialog that no profile has been found. Yes, that's true. That's because there have been a lot of changes under the hood to the configuration files and stuff. And it's a new install, so it will not have a valid default profile. If you install it, please make sure don't install it over your old installation, because that might lead to some problems with your profiles. I will show you a workaround later. When we start SPAD.next, nothing much changed, as you will see. So I will go through the changes. There have been a lot of changes to the UI, making it more comfortable, more easier to use. First of all, we have some changes to the settings. You will see a new setting, SciTech switch panel, where you can configure some settings for the SciTech panel. First of all, device events active. If you deactivate this checkbox, the switch panel will not react to any changes from FSU IPC or not send any events to FSU IPC. So, sorry. If you're testing something, just deactivate it and all events will be deactivated. Second is the engine switch as rotary switch. If this option is checked, the rotary switch on the switch panel will behave as expected, which means whatever position you set it in, it will only change one offset, which is FSU IPC, as it is with the Cessna 172. If you deactivate this checkbox, every position of the switch will have its own settings, and you can control different offsets with it. But be aware that if you change the switch from off to right, maybe, it will send off events to all other switch positions if the switch is not working as a rotary. So keep that in mind. Also, this setting is a setting that requires that the program has to be restarted to make sure everything is loaded. The third option is not yet implemented. It's raise on first connect, which means that the switch panel should send all switch positions to FSU IPC when you press the first switch. If you disable that, it will just not do this. As if you have everything to off and press a button, everything will be turned off in the plane. If you're middle in the flight, that could be a problem. So you can, in a later release, disable it here, and the panel will not send any events. Then we have some changes to the profiles section of the settings, which means that some of the functions are working now. I will show that later. Notably, the create new profile will work. I will show that later. The make active and the copy profile will work, and the delete button. I will show that in a little bit. Just going through the changes now. On the devices screen for the buttons configuration, we have some minor changes. So if you configure a button, you will see as usual, you can select. I removed the options that are not working yet, so you don't get confused. When you select the FSU IPC offset, you then select as usual the offset. That's the master battery switch. No, the master battery switch. You will see the usage will be shown on the dialog and the on and the off values that you can give. And we save it. If we then go to a bit offset switch, like the panel lights, again by the second column you can see it's a bit offset. If I select this, I'm not able to enter anything into the values. The program will do it for me. Okay, there's a little bug. Okay, will be fixed with the version you can download. Then we have for this rotary switch, for the engine starter switch, if the option is enabled in the settings that it works as a rotary, I select the starter, I think it's starter switch, yeah. Engine 1 starter switch position. All the positions will show up and you can give the values. Again, here you can see what FSU IPC expects. And for the gear lever, it will also show the correct values. Gear commanded, gear up and gear down. So gear down is 16383. So far to the UI changes. Now to make it easier for you not to be having to configure all the switches yourself, I provide a profile for the Cessna where most of the switches are configured. You can just go to the settings, profiles, and then there's this little copy to active profile. But let's first create a new profile. We create a new profile and give it a name, my test profile. There it is. Then we make this one the active profile. Yes, we want to save the changes. Why didn't activate it? Now it's my test profile. And if I go now back to the devices, everything is unconfigured because it's an empty new profile. Now I can go to the settings and say, okay, I have this profile coming with the software and I want to copy all the settings from that profile to my active profile. You can copy those settings forth and back and as you like, and you can even exchange profiles. So you can send your profile to your colleague and he can import it, just places it into the profiles or a folder and can copy it. If you copy a profile, you will see it now. First of all configured events in the devices will be overwritten. And then you might get this one, the configuration warning that the class path is not matching. That's because the profile settings are bound to the path of the USB device on your system. To be able to distinguish the devices if you have more than one of one device. If you now copy the profile, it will warn you that they don't match, and you can say, okay, I want to copy it anyway. Whenever you see any text in caps, that's something I didn't localize yet or write down in the localization files. I will show that in a bit, how you can help with localizing stuff. Now I have my test profile, which is the active profile, and when I go to the devices now, the switches are configured and enabled, and the gear is not matching. Why not? See, let's press a button. Okay, fixed. So now all the light buttons are configured, the mother buttons, the avionics, the fuel pump, the pitot heat, DS is unconfigured, and the engine switch is configured to the Cessna. So let's move that over here and grab our Cessna, which is now in a cold and dark state. And I will show some features now. So we start with the master and the alternate, and turn on the avionics and the panel lights. Now the fuel pumps, maybe you can hear them. And now I start the engine. So we go from generator to start to both. And now I switch it to start. The propeller starts working, and on FSU IPC or FSX, the engine starter switch automatically goes back to both. That's why this is blinking now, because I have it still in start position, and if I switch it back to both, this blinking goes away. You can repeat that how often if you like. You switch it to start. After a few seconds, FSX will turn it back to both, and you have to raise the switch. Same with the gear. Since the Cessna has no retractable gear, if I push a lever to gear up, FSX will reset it to gear down, and the UI will notify me that the lever position is wrong. Also, you might notice that when you press a switch, that sometimes, I don't know if I can reproduce it now, that sometimes you press a switch, it starts blinking red and then stops blinking red. That depends on your installation. If FSX needs some time, or FSUP IPC needs some time to progress its queue of changes, it can take a few seconds, sometimes up to 5, until the change is done in FSX and messaged back to the software. The button should stop blinking from itself as soon as the setting is completed. Most of it should work now, and you can have some happy hours testing. If you want to help out doing messages, text and stuff, you can do so. Go to the installation folder of SPAD.next. There it is. There you will find the folder for language, and by default I just roll out English right now. So if you want to do your own version of or own language version, like Dutch or German or something like that, you can go ahead, just copy this folder, rename it to, let's say, DEDE for German, and within the folder you have right now 4 files that are split for the different categories: general strings, configuration strings, everything that has to do with profiles, and the special stuff for the switch panel. You can then open it just in any favorite text editor or notepad and just start translating the stuff here. That's all you need to do. Please do not change anything what's in the key, just anything here. You can use BB codes in it, and if you need a new line, it's you can look it up in the switch panel settings. And I think, where did I have a new line? And the profiles, I think. Yeah, in the profiles you have some BB code in it, and you have some variables that are replaceable in the text. Documentation for that will come sooner or later. If you did a translation, you can send it to me and I will roll it out with the next version. In the next version you will be able to select the languages as well, if there are other languages found on the installation. If you experience any problems, head to the forums over at fsgs.com, post a thread there and attach your log file, and if it's something profile related, your profile as well. Please don't paste them into the thread text, because it makes the threads very long and unreadable. Just attach them to the thread. So that's it for now. Have fun playing around. Gonna fix this little bug quick, and then you should be able to download it.